Hello everyone. I just want to show you welcome today to our lesson on scrapping over scrapping report. So I just want to show you the templates, the format of the templates, and how to be able to identify moves from this template. So this template, this is our review of the month of May 2023. The month of May 2023. So you can see here, I have the daily and load data for daily basis. So this report is being taken on daily basis for the high and low positions on daily basis. So every day we have the highest price and the lowest price tuned in into that information. And then we have the trend. So the coloring is the trend. The red and the green are the extremes. So when they've moved beyond the limit, then it changes to either green or the red. So the green means it's low, the red means it's high. So one must follow each other. Okay, so after every green, there must be a red, and after a red, there must be another green. That's the steps. Another thing that needs to be understood is that the greens are after a certain movement. So either the green or the red must meet a minimum movement before it can activate. So it is after that minimum movement, then we expect the market to reverse, even though the market may still go further than the initial time we expect it to reverse, but that will be the first point, the first price, the first position we expect the reversal. Okay, so that is it. So as you can see here, now the first price is the first I. Let's use AUDJPY for an example. So this is the column for AUDJPY that I highlighted here. So as you can see here, it's showing the I as 90.8. So the next day is 90.6, which is lower than 90.8. So it comes, the coloring moves down to the lower part. So the low now is the trend. So we expect if it is going to be lower, then the next low must be lower than this. If not, then it reverses back to the high. So that is the condition. So if it moves, follows that trend, then it goes. If it doesn't, then it reverts back to the opposite side. So let's study it as well together so that you'll be able to understand the concept. Now this 90.8, the next day is 90.6, which is lower, so it moves automatically to low. Now we have 89.3 here, and here we have 89.4. So because 89.4 is higher than 89.3, so 89.4 is not lower. Assuming it was lower, we would have colored it low. So because it's higher, it reverts back to the high. Now our high is 90.1 now. Our next day high is 90.1, so which makes both of them the same. Now, what is our next day low? 88.2. So two things can happen here. Although I've already colored it as the high side, but I can also decide to color the low, because the low, even though because the high is the same, so I can consider previous high, but the low is lower than the previous high. So because this high is not higher, so I can also revert back to the low as I've just done here now. Okay, so the low is 88.2. Now what is the next low? Now after these dates, I'm considering the low, I'm not considering the high again, because the last trend is a low. So what is the next low? The next low is 87.8. So I'm coloring it because it's lower than 88.2. Okay, so what's the next low? is 88.1. Now, this low of 88.1 is not lower than 87.8. So that's why automatically I'm reversing back to the high. So the next high is 90.3, which is higher than 88.8. The next high is 91.1, 91.32, which is higher than 90.3. The next high is 92.5, which is higher than 91.32. The next high is 91.1, which is lower than 92.5. So because that does not follow the trend again, automatically I'm going to revert back to the low, which is 89.9. Okay, so now we are now on the low trend and we expect the market to fall continually, and if not, then we revert back to the high. So the next day is 89.1, which is lower than 89.9. So we color it yellow or green. The next one is 89.7, which is higher than 89.1. So automatically that trend is not followed, then we revert back to the high. So our high is 91.1, the next day is 91.9, which is higher. So we follow the trend. And the next day as well is 91.8, which is lower than 91.9. So automatically we revert back to low at 91. The next day needs to be lower, which is 90.5. So we still follow the trend. The next day is 89.7, which is lower. We still follow the trend. And the next day is 89.9, which doesn't follow the trend. So we revert back to the high side. So that is how we are able to continue this trend, as you can see here. So that's the context of this coloring. So if it doesn't follow the trend, then it reverts to the color of to the next opposite direction. So that is it. Now, what makes the red or the green depends on a condition which will be determined later. But for now, just consider that either the red or the green is an orange color. So, but this is the trend that it followed. Okay, so each day must have a color. So the basis of the coloring now depends on if the direction is being followed. If not, then it reverts back to the opposite side. Okay, so that is the context. So this is the first aspect of it. After this aspect, we now do this. As you can see this sheet, we have the yellows. So the yellow represents a Friday of every of the week. Okay, so whenever you say yellow, the figure of that yellow is a Friday. It's a Friday. It's a Friday. So we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that is the context. So every week between Monday to Friday, we have our summary. So what I do is that from these 5 days, I identify the highest points, the highest price for the week, and the lowest price for the week. So every week, this information is now gathered and is now replicated on this column, which is the weekly high and low data. So this is the daily, so this is the weekly high and low data. So for the weekly high and low data, we only have the first 3 days, which is the daily. Then after that, we have the weekly. So from week 1 to week 5 or week 6, depending on the month, So first week, which is just this, is just a summary of the first 3 days. Okay. So in the first 3 days, we identify the highest price, which is 90.3, and we identify the lowest price, which is 87.8. After then we now go to our daily and obtain every report for every week, and then we compare. So for example, here now, you can see Monday to Friday here. What is our highest? We have 90.1 already. We have 90.3. So 90.3 remains our high for the week. So let's see. So you can see here we have 90.3. Oh, okay. So what happened is our weekly for this, we started from here, okay, from this date. So our week 1 is from here, and our week 2 has been refined for this period. So in week 1, as you can see here, our highest is 90.3 and our lowest is 87.8, which is what we have here. These two positions, okay. So let's look at our week 2. So our week 2 is from here to this point, as you can see. So what is our highest? Our highest is 92.5, as you can see here, which is this, and our lowest is 89.1, which is this green, okay. So let's see. So we have 92.5 and 89.1. So, and that is the two. So you can see here 92.5 and 89.1. So let's look at the third week again for this period, as you can see here. So what is our highest price? Our highest price is 91.9, which you have here. And what is our lowest price is 89.7, which we have here. So 91.9 and 89.7. So let's see again, 91.9 and 89.7. So that's how we get our weekly positions. So when we get our weekly position as well, we still follow the rule of the trend. So you can see here 92.5. Our next week is lower than 92.5, so automatically it turns low. Our next low is higher than 89.7, it turns high, and vice versa continually. Okay, so that is it. So that is the logic of the trend. So the trend comes weekly, the trend comes weekly, the trend as well come on daily basis as well. So that's how we are able to identify that. And finally, on that, we have this report, which I call the direction movement adjustment. So this is where the red and the green now comes to play. So this is where the red and the green now comes to play. So that point only considers the red and the green. Okay, it considers the red and the green positions. So it doesn't consider the, so, and as you can see here, the red or the green will always be an extreme of a position. So the green might be an extreme of many lows, or the high, the red might be the extremes of many high. So like you can see here, we have a red, which is high. So we're supposed to have our next trend supposed to be a green. So you can see it, we can put our green here, we can put our green here, we can put our green here. But out of these three positions here, you can see that the last one is the lowest. Okay, so that's why we are putting it there, and because of some conditions. So at any point in time, the green must always be the extreme, or the rest must always be the extreme of a movement. So, and it must always be one color after the other. So we have the red here, we have the green, the next one has to be a red, the next one has to be a green, and then the next one has to be a red, as you can see here. So it's a red, okay. So, and you can see each of them is always at an extreme of each move. Can you see? It's always at an extreme of each move. So it is now this report, this information that we now gather and we now post into that column, which I call the directional movement adjustment. So you can see a green, a red, a green, a red, a green, a red. So when we populate these positions, these moves, automatically it gives us the distance between every movement on this side. So that's why we have the prices here. So all these are distances between each movement. So from 87.5 to 92.5, it took us 5 to get to that position. From 92.5 to 89.5.1, it took us 3.4 to get to that position. From 89.1 to 91.9, it took us 2.8 to get to that position, and so forth and so on. Okay, so that's position. This is at the 28th of May. So this has been updated until 28th of May. So now, averagely, we expect a minimum and average movement of this position. So when the market is moving from one extreme to the other, we expect an average of this move to be achieved. So if it doesn't achieve a minimum of this move, we may not consider it as changing. Okay, so we can still consider that trend until it reaches this minimum. So anyone I color in in red, means that it is twice the normal move, the average move. Anyone I colored in orange like this is just the normal move, and anyone that has the color of a red on the yellow background or on the orange background is twice the normal move. So for this 5 here, it is more than double of 2, so it's more than 2.5. Is more than 2 is 2.5, so that's why it's that color. So anytime it's 2.5 or more of the trend, then we get it colored in this color. Anytime it just achieve one side, so you can see 2 times 2 is 4, so this is not up to 4. Assuming it's up to 4, we would have colored it, the figure would have been in red. So because it's 2, that's why all these are in this colored, because it's just the minimum average of 2 that it was able to achieve. So you can see it is only this that is colored because it's above 0.02. All the others are less than, so that's why they have no color. So anyone on white background means it doesn't meet the minimum color, the minimum average move, and anyone that is sorry, this is supposed to be colored red, not because it's not 2.5. So anyone that is double, like you can see, this is 14, this is just times 2 of this, so it's red. Assuming it's up to 18 or up to 16, then we can color it the orange. Okay, so you can see orange 6.7. So you can see that it has not, these ones are white because it's up. So in this instance, for example, as well too, you can say this 0.22, the move is 0.057, so 0.22 times 3 times 2.5 is 0.55. So this is 0.57, so that's why we are coloring it like that. This one is red because it's 0.22 times 0.022 times 2 is 0.044, that's twice as well, and 0.022 as you can see, it's just 0.032, so it's just once. So that's the condition of this. So look at this as well too. We have 2, the normal move is 2. So this is 5.3, so that is more than 2.5. This is 4.6, this is 4, which is exactly 2. So that's why we are coloring that in this color. So that's the base of this color. So it gives us, anyone in orange shows a strong potential of reverting back. Anyone in red shows another opportunity of, and anyone in black and orange background shows just the normal move that we expect before the market trend reverses. So the average power they have is from the black to the red, and then the red to the orange background. So whenever we have an orange background, it shows that it has a very good opportunity to make more profits than the red. And whenever we have the red, it shows that it has more potential of making more profitability than the black. Okay, so that is how this template has been designed to understand what market is good, what market is viable, and which market gives us a better opportunity at every point in time. Okay, so for example, now look at gold. Now I've changed this point. This price is supposed to be 1936 and it's here at 113. So I'm going to color it because it's now the average. As you can see here, the average is 40. So 40 times 2 is 80. 40 times 2.5 is 100. So this is above 100. So that's why it's colored. The one in black are just the normal 40, and the one in red is almost times 2. So 40 times 2 is 80, this is 79. So that's why we're coloring red, because it's already almost okay. So that is the basics. So this gives us an idea of when we expect the market to reverse back, and when to understand, when to reduce our movement towards a direction and when to change direction. So that is what we've been able to, that is what this our past scrapping report has been able to show us. Been able to, from our daily reports, we've been able to identify the trend movement from high to low, and then we've also been able to identify the extremes on the positions on weekly basis, the highest for the week and the lowest for the week. And from there again, we've been able to identify the trend movement. Okay. And on the weekly basis as well, like here we have the summary at this point. So at the end of week, end of the every update, we have the highest and the lowest, and then we have the period that we achieved those positions. Okay, so we have the period that we achieved those positions. So you can see here we have week 1 and week 2, we have week 3 and week 5. So anytime we have achieved these extremes, then we have this the price and the period that it was achieved. Okay, so that's that for how the data are obtained here. So now the second part of this scrapping report is to show us the position, to show us some extremes of how the market uh, moves. Okay, so now as we post this, I'm going to go back to our daily report. So I will show this daily report. Towards the extreme right, you're going to see a new set of information, gives us ideas about what actions to take and what move to take. Okay, so that is what we have from this report. So at this point here, you can see here we have the HHL, we have the HL. So we have so many reports, so many information here. But this is just the summary of this, which has been identified now into this period. Okay, so this is our lowest from inception. So anytime we're updating the report, it's giving us, is updating itself into this position. So this is our lowest for the period, which is our low. So anytime we have a low means it's the lowest of the low, and anytime it has the HL shows that it has the highest of the high, and anytime it has, yeah. So this is a low. So as you can see here, what the low means is that of all the lowest positions, this is the lowest of the lows. And for the HL means this is the highest of the low. So remember, so for all these that you have seen here, all these are low. As you can see, all these are low. So what is the highest of the low and what is the lowest of the low? And that is what we have there. Okay. So the next point as well is what is the lowest of the high, what is the highest of the high. So this is the lowest of the high and this is the highest of the high based on this period. Okay. Now this is the average high and this is the average low and this is the current price. So all this information are automatically updated once we input our daily record, our daily data at this point in time. So all we just need to do is ensure that the accuracy of this data and all the rest of these positions will be populated. Then the current price, so this is the current price at now. So from the current price, you can see here, this gives us an action of what we expect to take according to the current price. So this also tells us when to buy, when to sell, or when to no action. So when you have a no action, then you just wait until the next move to give us an idea of based on the current price. So it's the position of the current price that will tell us what action to take based on this data, whether to buy or to sell. Okay? So, and like I said, this is being updated on weekly basis. So at the end of the day, we have one side, whether the low or the high, one of them must always remain static at a certain time in the course of the month, probably by the 7th of the month, while the other side now begins to move towards the extreme. So ability to be able to identify this information and take accurate action at the right time will help us to get the best result from the market. So this is the template, this is the definition of all the summary of this template of all our daily data. It gives us the information that we need, and based on the information that we get, we are able to arrive at the perfect information that we need to be able to help us to take a good action and a good bidding positions as well, and also to identify our risk and when to reduce our risk to the barest minimum. So before we can be able to enter the market, we have to follow these conditions, this information, to be able to know when to enter and when to exit the market. And also, if we enter and the market is going against us, when we expect the reversal period and the reversal prices. So this is all that the scrapping report, GOFA scrapping report is all about. So we're able to move summary before we close this chapter. In summary, we're able to use this period to identify our daily high and low positions. And from there, we get our weekly positions, weekly high and low. And from there, we get our direction, which is the change between the green and the red at the extremes for that period. And finally, before I also finish, this is more of a weekly report, our weekly report. So this is an advancement of this report, our weekly report here. So every week, so like like I showed you earlier, this is weekly, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So all these weekly reports are combined into our weekly report here. So you can see here we have month 1. So this has been since January. We are currently in May. So this is month 1 is January, month 2 is February, month 3 is March, month 4 is April, and month 5 is May. So every week we have the daily high as well, highest and lowest, and we still follow the normal rule of the trend. So when the high is higher than the previous high, then it follows the trend, and when it doesn't move that direction, it reverses back to the low, and then we expect the next low to be lower. If it doesn't meet that trend, we revert back to the high and continuously like that until we get to the end of the move. So currently now, as you can see here, AUDJPY is on the high, so it can come down next week or whatever, but this is as of today, the 28th of May 2023. So that is all about our profile scrapping reports and how we are able to use the information that we derive from it to be able to take an action. So that's all for now. I remain yours and only Oluwase Fadare. So if you want to reach me, you can reach me on fadinvest@yahoo.ie, 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 and I'll be able to reply your mails, your messages on anything that you might want to make inquiries about. Thank you for studying, for going through with me on this little lesson, and I hope to see you in my next template to be able to discuss and review one of my strategies that I've developed into a template and be able to walk you through them. Thank you very much. I remain yours and only Oluwase Ferrari. Have a great day ahead. Bye. Cheers.